Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special guide for Stardew Valley on how to grow crops indoors without the necessary watering, which is mandatory in order to keep the plants healthy and for them to keep producing crops for you. Okay, so honestly, this might not be the newest information on the blog. However, I have found out about this only recently, and I was not happy with how the way the information was shared, so I have decided to create this guide for you, the player, who might also not know about this feature yet available. Now, okay. Growing crops indoors has been possibility since the 1.3 patch due to the gardening pots, and thanks to the 1.4 patch, now we can stack these beauties in order to fill in various buildings to increase the overall farming potential of certain farms, like the peach farm, where you have only space for 8 iridium sprinklers, which is equal to 192 tiles of land supported by them, and so you don't have to do the watering manually. And I know, but Max, in order for us to use the gardening pots, we need to water the crops inside of them. That is true. However, thanks to the 1.5 patch, there are now certain features which allow you, the player, to no longer have to mandatorily water the crops each day. You will only have to do this once at the start, and that's it. From then on out, you will only have to keep harvesting your crops. Therefore, the following disclaimer is in order, of course. If you want to skip to the next section, you can. I will be featuring timestamps for you in the video description. However, if you will skip these pieces of important and crucial information, things might not work out for you if you go to them, which is why I am mentioning them at the start of the video specifically. Disclaimer. Number 1. In order for this technique to work and you not needing any additional mods or modification to the game, you will need to have the latest version of the game, which has the Ginger Island available. Therefore, mobile and other platforms where this content has not yet been enabled will not be able to perform this type of farming, unfortunately. I'm currently running the 1.5.4 version. Number 2. This is not an early in-game strategy, as in order to gain access to the necessary ingredients and resources, you will need to get to the Ginger Island, and that is done only by fulfilling or completing the community center. Without it being done, Willie will not notify you about his quest to restore his old father's fishing boat. Number 3. Despite this not being an early game strategy, using tools such as Stardew Valley Planner version 2, you are able to plan ahead to accommodate your plans for in-house farming on all the available farms. I even already made 2 guides on how to possibly set up certain farms, so I'll be leaving you the links in the description. Number 4. The technique works best with crops which keep producing fruits and vegetables and not give you one harvest only, as you might be forced to re-water the planters or reapply the deluxe retaining soil. Therefore, the best crops which work for this strategy might be bean starter, blueberries, cactus fruit, coffee, corn, cranberries, grapes, hops, hot peppers, pineapples, tomatoes, etc. Number 5. Tea can work, however, watering is not mandatory for tea, and unfortunately the tea sapling will only still produce the tea leaves only from the 22nd until the 28th of each season, which will give you one additional winter harvest, as otherwise if you plant your tea saplings outside, they will not be producing tea. Number 6. This is the most unfortunate thing, as I'm quite sure many of you were planning immediately once I said crops which keep giving you multiple harvests and having them grow indoors we're trying to use the ancient fruit. Unfortunately, ancient fruit will not work for this strategy specifically, because if you try to plant the ancient fruit seed inside of the planter, you will get a message that the plant's roots go too deep and the plant would be unhappy, and therefore ancient fruit is not eligible for this strategy. Number 7. You might be asked by the game to actually harvest these crops using your scythe. So this is something which you should keep in mind. Sword will not work, and I do not suggest the use of the explosives. So keep this in mind, please, when you are planning on your next big harvest inside of your shed or other structures. Okay, so now that I have mentioned the necessary things, we will be going over how to prepare for the indoor gardening and what crops benefit the most from this strategy, and how you will be able to start making a killing thanks to it, even on farms where you do not have space for that much farming potential. Preparation for indoor farming. Okay, so this is a major part of the strategy, as you cannot simply go see Robin whenever and give her a task to build a structure on your farm. Keep in mind things like Tuesdays, when she usually works out at Pierre's shop, and also keep in mind events and festivals during each of the specific seasons, as these events will close stores and postpone any work done on your structures. The best way to find out about Robin's schedule is to look her up on the wiki page, as this will help you plan ahead and gather the necessary resources for the following structures, which will allow you to grow crops indoors: barn, coop, house, shed. I am mentioning all the structures as these are all the buildings inside of which you can keep a nice amount of gardening pots. However, I will go over certain restrictions when it comes to the coops and barns specifically a bit later. Now, this idea actually is inspired by an old strategy by players who used barns before sheds have been introduced to the game to keep their production of wine or preserves indoors, where barns were specifically used to do this task, where players tend to put kegs or preserve jars inside them. So we are just gonna replace them with the gardening pots in this scenario. Okay, so let's go over the necessary information which player needs to understand when it comes to the construction of the following buildings. Coop. From the initial coop, which will cost you 4,000 gold, 300 wood, and 100 stone, to get to a fully upgraded deluxe coop, you will require 34,000 gold, 1,200 wood, and 450 stone. Wiki page will even provide you with calculations of value of the resources in case you don't feel like gathering them yourself and you just want to purchase them from Robin. And there are also differences for year 1 and year 2 prices accounted for, so you will be able to determine how much money you will need to bring along in order to get one of these structures up and running. Barn. Barns are going to be a better choice for players due to the much larger interior space. However, that is also carried with a heftier bill, as the initial expense is 6,000 gold, 350 wood, and 150 stone, adding up to the total amount of 43,000 gold, 1,350 wood, and 650 stone. Again, calculations are available for you on the wiki page. Shed. Last but not least, the probably best option for this practice is shed, with the initial 15,000 gold and 300 wood price, adding up to the total amount of 35,000 gold, 850 wood, and 300 stone. This information alone is the proof of the fact that this is not an early in-game strategy, as the gardening pots, for example, are a key factor here, and you will only obtain the recipe from Evelyn upon completion of the greenhouse. If you choose either Junimos or Jojamart, it is completely up to you. However, this is a mandatory step, and once you obtain the recipe, you will require 1 piece of clay, 10 pieces of stone, and 1 refined quartz in order to craft a gardening pot. Stone is self-explanatory and most easy to obtain, from clearing out the farm to going into the many mines, from mountains to the desert oasis to the volcano, and of course the quarry. You will have plenty of opportunities to obtain stone, or you can purchase it from Robin. Clay might be a bit trickier as it is not freely available, and you will need to get your hands dirty by either hoeing the dirt or the sand, or looking for the artifact spots such as this one in order for you to get your hands on some clay. Last resource is refined quartz. Now, there are plenty of people who will tell you to put raw quartz into the furnace for smelting, and I will tell you that you should not be listening to those people. Instead, what you should do is try to focus on building some small amount of crab pots which produce trash, amongst which are broken CDs and broken glasses. In combination with the recycling machines, you will be able to get refined quartz directly. Therefore, you will be able to save up your precious coal for either smelting of the bars, which you will need for further crafting purposes, or for construction recipes such as preserve jars, seed makers, etc. Now to the tricky part of the last necessary resource, Deluxe retaining soil. Have you heard of this? Have you seen this? Maybe yes, maybe not. It is unfortunately not obtained from vendors with gold in bulk. The only way to obtain this blueprint is to unlock the Ginger Island and get to the merchant specifically. So what do you need to do in order to get to the merchant, or why is this such a problem? Why is this such a big problem? Well, as I mentioned, this is not an early game strategy, as most players might not be able to get this done within the first year, but let's say you get to the Ginger Island. What then? Well, you will need to go see Leo at his house, and along the way you will need to start picking up your first golden walnuts. These will be crucial in order for you to get to the island merchant. You can pick one up right in front of the Leo's hut, and once you go in, you will need to initiate the discussion with the parrots. When you are inside, you can of course hit this tree, which will give you additional golden walnut, but the task from now on is to keep running into these parrots on these special pedestals and start donating golden walnuts. Now, there are plenty of guides already on YouTube on how to get from around 120 to 130 golden walnuts here on the island. However, keep in mind that in order for this to work, you will need to first initiate communication inside of the hut. Then you will need to follow the little flame from the beach towards the volcano, and along the way, you will need to start coming across as many golden walnuts as possible. The good news is that plenty of them can be found out rather easily at the start of the game, so you should not have that much issue. The later walnuts might be a bit trickier as you might have to do certain puzzles. However, I will show you at least the initial 10 walnuts, and from then on out we will continue the video so that we can get along with the program. Once you get your initial 10 golden walnuts, the next key thing for you is to unlock the farming section of the Ginger Island. This is important as in order for you to get the parrot on this pedestal specifically so that the island merchant can't appear here, you will need to donate 1 golden walnut to the parrot inside of Leo's hut, 10 golden walnuts to the parrots to get to the farming section, 20 golden walnuts to unlock the hut at the farming section, and additional 10 golden walnuts in order for the island merchant to be available for you, adding up to the total amount of 41 golden walnuts in total in order for you to just gain access to the possibility to obtain the necessary blueprint for deluxe retaining soil. Once the island merchant is available for you, make sure to have 50 pieces of cinder shards. These will be necessary in order for you to trade them in for the blueprint, which is the deluxe retaining soil. This soil has a 100% chance of staying watered overnight, mixed into the tilled soil. In order for us to craft this blueprint, we will require the following resources: 5 stone, 3 fiber, 1 clay. This thing is the key to your 1 watering required, as once you craft deluxe retaining soil, you will be able to put this thing into the gardening pot and water the pot only once, and that is all the watering you need to do. From that point forward, you are only focusing on harvesting crops. So once you have all your structures constructed and you have been lucky enough to learn the deluxe retaining soil blueprint, what are you able to expect from some of these structures, and how many gardening pots are you able to put inside of them? Well, I'm glad you are asking this important question. I'm gonna show you how the buildings evolve and how they are gonna allow you to accommodate a larger quantity of gardening pots. So let's start with the barn. Your basic barn will accommodate up to 72 gardening pots. However, preferably you should only go with 68. These 4 should be removed just in case, due to the purpose of you allowing your animals to get inside. You can of course play around with how you put in the gardening pots. However, I have tried multiple variations and this one seems to work the best. Also, keep in mind that you should still have the possibility for your animals to reach their food. If you upgrade your barn to the big barn, you are able to accommodate up to 93 planters. However, again, keep in mind that you should stick with probably somewhere around 87, as ones adjacent to the wall might block off your animals the passage indoors, and also you should keep the food available for your animals in order for them to remain happy. The deluxe barn will accommodate up to 111 gardening pots. This is the big money maker. However, keep in mind all the resources which you had to spend. Also, you have to keep in mind the possibility that the animals will require the space in order to get within. And also, if you want to purchase the auto collector from Marnie, which will harvest all the milk, wool, and all the other resources from your animals, you might have to accommodate a space for that indoors as well. So try to keep it by the entrance so it's more convenient for you that way. However, as you can see, there are plenty of cranberries here, so the big barn still remains a viable option. So let's move on to the next set of buildings, the coop. So when it comes to your basic coop, you will be able to squeeze in 30 gardening pods. Once again, you will need to accommodate space for the animals to get inside, and they should have also the space to get to their food. Now, unfortunately, the basic coop is not the most reliable option for you as a farmer to utilize it for the gardening pods, and I have tried multiple layouts, but this one seems to have worked the most and was able to accommodate the most amount of crops inside. When we move to the big coop, we get up to 40 gardening pods. Now this sounds a bit better, but we are only gaining space for 10 additional gardening pods. Once again, you will need to free up some of the space for in case you want your animals to actually get to their food and get inside. The Deluxe Coop will accommodate up to 59 gardening pods. This space will fit really nicely in case you want to have at least some crops. You of course do not have to necessarily put in all the gardening pots, but in case you still want to do some indoor farming, you have some options in here. Unfortunately, you do not have that much variations when it comes to how you decide to put in your gardening pots, because your animals will require access to the food, and you will need to free up some space by the wall so that they can get inside, or so that you can get to the incubator too. One thing to keep in mind is that just the small barn alone allowed us to accommodate around 68 gardening pots. We had to get all the way up to the Deluxe Coop just to get up to 59 of them if we do not free up any space for our animals to get within. Therefore, coops are not the most reliable option for indoor farming, and they should be left as the last resort in case you are running low on space at your farm. Shed. Shed will allow you to accommodate 59 gardening pots. So it shares the same amount as the fully upgraded coop, and the benefit is that you do not really need to free up any space for your animals to get within. Of course, you can free up one of these spaces for a chest so that you can store in all of the acquired crops. However, considering the fact that you will most likely have already some processing place for your kegs or preserve jars, most of the time players will utilize the entire interior for the gardening purpose. So there it is, shed, and let's take a look at its upgraded version. The big shed will allow you to accommodate up to 137 gardening pots. This is the most profitable or most optimal layout which you can utilize. Of course, you can try to play around with how you keep your crops within. Just keep in mind that you will be able to grow a serious amount of crops inside, and you are not limited by any animals or any other factors which might negatively play out, and you will be able to get a crazy amount of crops from within the big shed. So this is an investment which I can seriously recommend to you. And of course, our last option is to keep upgrading our house, and you are able to even grow crops indoors here as well. Now, it will heavily affect, of course, your family members, that is if you decide to marry someone and have kids with them. However, I would still suggest the use of the cellar for the aging process, because the casks do not work at any other place. And as you can see, I still have plenty of space available in here. I can even remove some of the furniture. Only things which I would need probably are calendar, TV, and bed, and I can squeeze in a whole lot more crops this way. However, in case you do want to keep your home for interior decorating and storing all your valuables, you can of course do that too, and only leave a small amount of space for indoor farming in case you want to do something fun and have them there instead of potential flowers or other decorations. Value and which crops you should focus upon. So, in case you decide to actually follow through with this strategy and try to do indoor farming, which crops should you focus? Well, considering the fact that the ancient fruit is out of the question, you have plenty of opportunities. I have actually done the research and I have found out that these are the most valuable crops which you should focus upon. Also, the benefit from you having the artisanal skill and turning all of these crops into artisanal items will benefit you greatly with the added cost of 40%. So these are the following crops which you should focus upon when it comes to brewing wine, pale ale, beer, or anything else. Number 1, pineapple. Number 2, strawberry. Number 3, hops. Number 4, grapes. Number 5, cactus fruit. Number 6, cranberries. Number 7, blueberries. Number 8, eggplant. Number 9, tomato. Number 10, hot pepper. Number 11, corn. Number 12, coffee. Number 13, green bean. When it comes to jelly and preserves, Number 1, pineapple. Number 2, strawberry. Number 3, grapes. Number 4, cactus. Number 5, cranberries. Number 6, eggplant. Number 7, tomato. Number 8, blueberry. Number 9, corn. Number 10, green bean. Number 11, hot pepper. Number 12, hops. So there you have it. A possible technique of growing crops inside of your buildings without you having to water them on a daily basis. Did you know about the technique and have you utilized it already? And what crops did you decide to go with? Did you go for sheds, or were you torturing your animals or even your family members by putting in excessive amount of oregano, I mean paprika, inside of your house?
Steven? What's in the bag?
The Packers winning next year's Super Bowl, that's what's in the bag.
Is that what I think it is?
If you mean paprika, yes, sir.
Honey, paprika is red.
If you mean green paprika, yes, sir.
Let me know in the comment section. Was this video useful, or did I miss something, or did you wanted me to go into further details in specific section? Let me know in the comment sections. However, if you did like it and you did learn something new and will consider trying it out eventually, if the content even arrives on your platform, let me know how did it go. And for more fun content like this, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell, as I publish fun content like this on a weekly basis from Mondays till Fridays. I do playthroughs, comparisons, guides, reviews, so go check it out. And most of all, enjoy your time playing Stardew Valley, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, everyone, and take care in the meantime. Bye bye.